Hi, I'm Rita. Welcome back to my booktube channel, Life Worth Reading. And welcome to my September TBR. Now, this is very late. I am filming this on the 8th of September, so I'm already a week late to this TBR. And given that almost none of my TBRs are ever actually successful, doing this one a week into the month is disastrous. Like, this is not gonna go well for me. I'm not gonna be able to finish it, but I have all the hopes that I will, which is really stupid of me, but let's just get into it. In case you're new here and you've never seen my TBR videos, I do a TBR game that is Tarot Picks My TBR. I use a tarot deck and a list of prompts that I created, which I will leave in the description down below, to pick out cards and then assign books to those prompts. Did that make sense? Did I say that correctly? I think I did. And so I usually pick between 5 or 6 cards each month. This month I'm picking 5 because 6 is way too overwhelming for me. And I think that's all that I want to say. If you want to play along, already know you can check out the Google Docs in my description. And let's get into it. In August, I did not complete my TBR. There were 2 books that I didn't read. And those books were Hamnet by REFERRAL, which is just haunting me constantly. I've been meaning to read that book for months. I've put it on multiple TBRs and I still haven't read it. It's the new Poppy War, honestly. It took me like a year and a half, almost 2 years to read the Poppy War, and I think it's going to take me just that long to read Hamnet. So I didn't read it in August. And I also didn't read An Arrow to the Moon by Emily X.R. Pan because that was like a randomize my TBR kind of thing, and I didn't own the book, and I didn't really feel like reading it. It was a random choice because I had to randomize it, but I didn't really feel like reading it, so I didn't. Ideally, I would apply a punishment, but I do not want to punish myself. I've already been punished enough. Life is hard. I don't want to do it. So let's just get into the card pulling. Hello and welcome to the card pulling section of the video, and let's find out what I'll be reading in September. As always, I have the Mystic Mondays deck by Grace Duong, and I will be taking all of the cards out, and I will be separating the major arcana from the minor arcana so I can pick from both piles. Here we have the cards, and now I'll just be separating them. Okay, so for the month of September, I thought about only picking 5 cards, and I think it'll be 3 major arcana and 2 minor arcana cards. So let's start by mixing the major arcana. Okay, so let's find out what our first card is. It's the Wheel of Fortune. Now, for the first card, of course, I have to have the Wheel of Fortune again, which, as I just mentioned, it's the prompt to randomize my Goodreads TBR. But honestly, I decided to do things a little bit differently. And so for this month, I actually went on my Goodreads and I put all the books that I own that I haven't read yet, except some sequels and stuff. But I put almost all the books that I own that I haven't read yet into a single folder? Yeah, folder. And I'm going to randomize a number and pick from there. There aren't many books on that list. Let me tell you that much. There are 17 books on that list, and 17 is my lucky number. So I'm hoping this is going to go well for me. I am going to go to a random number generator from 1 to 17, and we're going to pick a book. Okay, so it's screen recording. This 5 was already on there. I just changed the max to 17. So let's do that. 4. Okay. I'm so scared. I'm literally so scared. 1, 2, 3. The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharp. Okay, I'm going to go pick that book. Honestly, this could have gone way worse for me. So I'm not that mad about it. The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharp is a book that I got on Vinted. I got it secondhand because I've heard great things about it, but I don't really understand what it's about. I know that our main character is a woman, and she has multiple identities, I think, and they want to rob a bank. I'm not sure what genre this is. I'm not sure if this is YA, if this is a mystery. I don't know much about it, but I'm not mad with this book. I think it's going to be a great book. So that's the first book that I'm going to be reading off of this TBR. Let's find out what our second card is. It's the Magician. Then we got the Magician, which is to read a fantasy book. Now, I have so many fantasy books that I want to read, but also I'm trying my hardest to, it's one of my reading goals till the end of the year, is to read my physical TBR. Like I mentioned, I don't have a lot of books on there, but I love reading books, and then if I don't like, unhauling them so I can pick up new books. And so I need to read my physical TBR in order to either get rid of the books or keep them because I love them. And so for this one, I picked a fantasy that I do own, and that is The Bone Witch by Rin Chapeko. Do I know what this book is about? Also not. But we're getting into the spooky season, right? Everyone is doing their autumn TBR, their spooky, dark books TBR for the rest of the year. And also today is very rainy and cloudy and cold, and so it feels right. And do I know what this book is about? Not really. I think it's about witches, right? Because witch, maybe they're necromancers. I don't know, because it says here that, let me be clear, I never intended to raise my brother from his grave, which means that at least one of the characters is a necromancer, and I love that. I love necromancers. And so I'm excited about this. Another book of my physical TBR. Let's do this, and let's hope that I actually read them. Let's find out what it is. The Hierophant. Then the next card that we got is the Hierophant, and this card means to read a historical fiction, which I absolutely love to do. And mostly the historical fiction that I do pick up are from my library. I don't know why, but most of the books that my library has, and most of the books that I'm interested in from the library, are historical fictions. And so for this one, I have The Three Daughters of Eve by Elif Shafak. I still haven't read anything from Elif Shafak. A few months ago, I picked up, what was it called? The Bastard of Istanbul, but I tried to read the first chapters and I wasn't really interested at the time, and so I put it back in my library. And so I still haven't read anything by Elif Shafak, but she is a very prominent author, and one of her most recent books, The Island of Missing Trees, sounds super interesting. I'm very, very interested in purchasing that book, but I want to give this one a go. And this is a historical fiction that is set during the 90s, no, the 80s, and also the first decade of the 2000s. And so it is historical fiction, even though it's a more recent historical fiction. And it's set in Oxford, but it's also set in Istanbul because the author is Turkish. And so I'm very excited to read this book. I love a good historical fiction, especially historical fictions about time periods or places that I don't usually read about. Like, I am so tired of World War I and II historical fiction, and I think that's why most people don't like historical fiction, because it's like trauma porn and the exploration of suffering and just repeating the same events over and over again from like a million different perspectives. But I love a good historical fiction about a place or a time period that I don't know much about. And so this is definitely it. I don't know anything about Turkey. I don't know anything about what the 80s were like in Turkey, and so I'm excited to find out. So here's one from my library that I've been, if you've seen my videos recently, you know how obsessed I've been with going to my library. So we have that. And for another historical fiction that I picked up from my library, just to let you know, I also picked up The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. This is a book that was really popular in like 2015, I think, and it's about the 17th century in the English, like, court? Is that how you say it in English, court? I don't know. It seems really interesting. This book was really popular, and I'm also excited to read that. So those are the two historical fictions that I have from my library at the moment. So I'll be reading hopefully both of them because I need to give them back. And so there we go. Alright, so putting aside the major arcana and picking up the minor arcana card, let's start mixing so we can pick our last two cards. Our fourth card is going to be the Six of Cups. Then from the minor arcana cards, we had the Six of Cups, and any six of any suit means to read a translated fiction. Now, I interpret this as, since I'm not English, right, I'm Portuguese, and so I interpret this as any book that has been either translated to English from its original language or translated to Portuguese from its original language. And so, in that second category, I have Hotel Silence. You can't really see that, but it says Hotel Silence. And this is by an Icelandic author. I cannot pronounce his name for the life of me. Hadur Eva Olafsdóttir. Yeah. I have never read anything by an Icelandic author, and it sounded just really interesting. Supposedly the name in Icelandic means scar, so I'm not really sure, like that was the title of the book, Scar, so I'm not really sure why the Portuguese publisher decided to call it Hotel Silence, but I'm into it. Let's give it a go. And for our last card of September, the Ten of Pentacles. And finally, I got the most scary card of all. I got the Ten of Pentacles, and any 10 of any suit means reading a big book. And I consider it a big book if it's over 500 pages. Admittedly, that's a big book. I could have put 400 pages, but I don't know, I was feeling crazy when I wrote those prompts down. And so for this one, I was scared for my life. And then I remembered that I am obsessed with a trilogy. I don't own the second or third book yet, but I've just finished The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodore Goss, which was on my August TBR, so congratulations to me for following up. And I'm obsessed with this book. I gave it 5 stars. I love this book so much, and I'm so damn excited to continue on the trilogy. And it's so rare that I do, because mostly I start series and then I'm like, okay, I need a break before I read the rest of the books. But this one I'm just like, I need to get into it now. Do I own them? No. And I'm having a big trouble like finding the rest of the series in these paperbacks, but they are on SCRIBD, whatever you say it. And by the way, if you use my link, you get 2 months free on SCRIBD. And let me tell you, if you're in Europe, it is the biggest digital library, okay? Because a lot of our US besties, they have the best library systems ever, and they have so many books. available to them. And here in Europe, I think mostly that's the case, that we don't have as much available to us. And so SCRIBD is a really big help in like reading a lot of the titles that are coming out, audiobooks. And so if you want 2 months free, check out my link. But yeah, the rest of the books are on there, and I think that before, like, I can't wait to actually find the books and purchase them. I need to read them now. And the second book, which is called, they have like this really intricate names, I don't know why. The second one is called European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman. Why is it called that? Dear Dorcas, I want answers. But it's 700 pages or something ridiculous like that. So it's a big book, but it's a book that I'm excited to get into it. And that's really rare. It's really rare that a big book gets me excited. So I'll be definitely continuing on with the series. It's going to probably be the biggest book that I've read so far this year. But I am so excited about it. It's not going to be a chore at all, and I'm very excited. Okay, so let's review the TBR for September. Here we have The Three Daughters of Eve for our historical fiction. We also have The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton, which is another historical fiction that I'll be reading this month. So they're kind of interchangeable in my opinion. We have Hotel Silence for our translated fiction, The Bone Witch for our fantasy pick, The Girls I've Been for our randomized, the TBR, and we also have European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman by Theodora Goss for our big, giant, scary book of the month. Listen, I don't want to jinx myself, but this is a TBR that I'm finding very exciting. And perhaps, mayhaps, I'll be finishing it, which isn't heard of for me because I don't think in any month I've ever completely finished a TBR, which is kind of ridiculous for me to keep filming TBRs and not completing them. But I mean, this is a good stack of books. This is a good stack of books. I don't know. I don't want to jinx it, but I'm feeling very happy about this. Let me know which book you're most excited to read in September. And again, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel for more bookish content. And I'll see you in my next video. I hope you have a nice day, and always remember that life is worth reading.